Ah yes, I finally get to talk about the Golden Axe Trilogy. The original arcade game was released in 1989 and then it got a Sega Genesis port. This would lead to a series of beat-em-ups that many would consider a classic, other titles that are different but unique in their own way, and whatever the case is for Beast Rider. For this video, we'll specifically go over the trilogy released on the Sega Genesis/Mega Drive. First, there's Golden Axe 1, a classic that is not only faithful to the arcade port, but also added console-exclusive stages and modes. Then there's Golden Axe 2, a sequel that made many improvements and is just as good if not better than its predecessor. And of course, Golden Axe 3, which made drastic changes to the gameplay and wasn't as well received as the previous games. In any case, it would only make sense if we start with Golden Axe 1, so without further ado, let's get into it. The story begins with Death Adder kidnapping the king and his daughter. He has also seized the Golden Axe and killed the loved ones of the main characters. It'll be up to Axe Battler, Tiras Flare, and Gilius Thunderhead to defeat Death Adder. In the arcade mode, the goal is to get through all 8 stages in order to finish the game. If you play the beginner mode, it will instead be 3 stages. Beginner mode will also lower the health of enemies, the amount of magic consumed, and remove the story and dialogue cutscenes. In both modes, you will have 3 continues and you can change your maximum health in the options. You can think of this as a difficulty selection since more health means more room for error. Lastly, there is the duel mode where you have to get through 12 fights on a single life. The options will have no effect on your maximum health in the duel. If you want to play with a friend, the second player will have to press start on the title screen. Both can either play through the main mode together, or face each other in the duel. The plot and gameplay is simple enough, but this is a difficult game in its own right. But before I go over the difficulty, let's talk about the controls. As mentioned before, Golden Axe 1 is a beat 'em up. You can move in 8 directions and you can run by pressing left or right twice. A performs a magic spell, B will attack, and C will jump. If you jump while running, you'll jump even higher. In terms of basic attacks, there are plenty of moves you can perform. When up close to the enemy, you can perform a combo by pressing B multiple times. The combo itself will depend on how close you are to the enemy. After 2 or more hits, you can throw them while they're stunned by pressing B while close to them. While you can't throw enemies into others, it does make you invincible during the animation. The other attacks you can perform will knock down the enemy in 1 hit. These include attacking while running, attacking while jumping, attacking during a running jump, and a special attack that's done by pressing attack and jump at the same time. The special attack and running jump attack in particular are very powerful. If used properly, you can defeat enemies very quickly. But I can't talk about Golden Axe without talking about magic. These are your screen clearing moves that will hit all enemies on screen, with the damage and animation depending on how many magic pots you have. You can collect pots by hitting the blue thieves that appear in and between stages. The green thieves will instead drop food that will restore a health bar. The highest level you can reach for magic will depend on which character you're using. First, you have Axe Battler, who can reach level 4 with his volcano magic. Then you have Tiras Flare, who can reach level 6 to unleash an awesome looking dragon. And of course, Gilius Thunderhead, who can reach level 3 with his thunder magic. And before you ask, this footage is actually from Golden Axe on the Sega Smash Pack. Not many people know that I had an option for 4-player link play. In any case, all magic pots are used upon casting a spell. Being that each character requires different amounts for each level, you have to consider when and where to use them. Would you rather save a huge nuke as Tiras for an upcoming boss battle? Or would you rather use magic constantly as Gilius for crowd control? It all comes down to preference. Speaking of the characters, they are more or less the same in terms of combat. The major difference is that Gilius has a unique special attack animation that goes further than the others. In short, your decision will mostly be based on how you want to use magic. As for fighting the enemies, this is where the game can be a bit difficult for newcomers. The enemies will always try to sandwich you by staying on both sides. Enemies that are far away will instead run at you with a running attack. Trying to combo an enemy while another is behind you is very risky. Therefore, it's better to depend on attacks that can knock them down instantly. The running attacks in particular are really good for crowd control in this game, especially if you're only facing 2 enemies. Outside of that, the Y-axis will be your best friend. Approaching an enemy from left or right can be risky, especially against enemies with greater reach. Therefore, it's safer to go above or below them, and then attack once they enter your lane. As long as you time your attack well, this can be very useful against any opponent. Some other important factors are the pits and the Bizarrians. Falling into a pit will instantly cost you a life. Thankfully, the same goes for the enemy. You can either knock them into a pit, bait them into jumping off by being far away from them, or you can use the Y-axis and simply make them fall off from following you. The Bizarrians are the monsters that you can ride. They can only perform a basic attack or a running attack. Their basic attack is very useful thanks to it causing an instant knockdown and dealing more damage than your jump attack. They'll always appear with an enemy riding them, so you'll have to knock the enemy off of them first. There are some other things I want to mention, such as scrolling the screen slowly to make less enemies spawn, but I'll go over that and more in the long play. If you prefer a written guide, you can always check the link in the description below. Alright, and now for my long play on Golden Axe 1 for the Sega Genesis. So you see me speed through like the options and all that. I did leave the life on default, which is 3. And for this long play, I picked Gilead's Thunderhead. And before I explain more, then we get into the story. Death Adder invaded the castle and has taken the king and princess prisoners. My good friend Alex was also killed in the battle. To defeat them and to bring peace to the land is my duty. So the reason why I was speeding through like the text and all that is because this did take me quite the number of attempts to pull off, like to beat the game without losing a life. But I did manage to do it after enough patience, and man, this run, it was a nail biter. You see later on, but again, short game, but it is pretty difficult. So because I'm using Gilead's Thunderhead, I can actually afford to use magic against a smaller enemy. So you see right here that I only got one of the pots, and then I use a level 2 magic here. And the reason is because I know I can get max magic by the time I get up to the boss battle, so I figured I might as well just like, you know, use magic right here now. And like, not that I have to, but I just did it just cause. Anyways, always jump up there so that you can easily get to the thief at the top. It is possible for that thief to like fall to the bottom or maybe even hit him from the bottom, but usually I just go on the top just in case. Anyways, I now have max magic, and wow, you can see that enemy right there. He like moonwalked like backwards in order to like try to sandwich me. I'll explain that a bit, but anyways, here's the first boss. I try to tail whip at least each enemy once, and then I cast a level 3 spell, which is right here. And this should defeat the jobbers, and this should also make the bosses one tail swipe away from being defeated. So you're about to see that happen right now. There's 1, and there is 2. And of course, in between stages, you can get extra magic and, well, depending on the stage, food from the thieves. Now, as I was mentioning, the enemies will try to sandwich you, and like, if it doesn't work out, sometimes they would just run the other side and try to attack you from there. It's very weird. Our sworn enemy, Death Adder, is in his castle. We will take a shortcut through the Turtle Village. And yeah, that was stage 1. It was pretty quick. I think, what was that, like a minute? Like a minute and a half? But again, it's a pretty easy stage. You can get through it without using magic at all, especially if you're using someone like Tira's Flare. And as for this stage, you can bait the first 2 enemies into jumping off by staying far away enough that they do a running attack. And for the next 2 enemies, you can actually do a running attack to the left to hit them to the pit to the left, even though it's off screen, that will still work. And coming up is an enemy on a blue dragon. Now, what you want to do here, in my opinion, is you want to bait the enemy into like going to the left, and then you want to keep the fight on the left, because if you scroll the screen further to the right, 2 more enemies will spawn. And I find it easier to fight just one of them and then the other 2 rather than facing all 3 at once and potentially losing the dragon. So you don't have to do it, but it is safer, of course, and that's what I always do for this run. And this should be a thief here. He drops 3 pots, but I am using Gilead, so I won't really need the 3rd one. And yeah, with that should be the next boss battle already. Yeah, that really was a minute. Anyways, first things first, defeat him, and then these ladies will stand still, so they're very easy to deal with. There we go. And then 1 more hit. Bam. There it is. Okay, so With this part, you want to try to hit at least all of them once with the dragon, and then if you're using someone like Gilius, you can defeat them at once with a level 3 spell. Another option is just to use the spell first and then hit them one at a time to like defeat them. But either or works, and if you are using someone like Tyrus Flare, you want to save your magic, then it's more than possible to defeat them without magic. It's just, again, I am using Gilius, so I can afford to do so. So coming up is Stage 3. The village was on the back of a giant turtle. The turtle takes her south across the sea. So, something I should mention is that when the green thief drops food, it restores exactly 16 HP. Even if you have, like, this is so much to explain. I'll explain that in a bit, but first things first. I'll always try to jump attack the enemy on the right to instantly make him fall off the pit. And then what I'm trying to do here is quickly get on the dragon. I'm kind of glad that the woman on the right went back on the dragon, because if you let the mount just stand still, like sitting down for a long time, it would just run away anyway. So her going back on the dragon actually resetted that duration. And again, I only need one pot here, so it's not a big deal. And anyways, as I was mentioning, that first enemy I defeated with the jumping attack, doing so will either make him fall into the pit, or it will make him jump to the go on the other side and he'll just walk off. Now for this part, slowly scroll the screen, because there are 2 bosses here, mini bosses I should say, and by scrolling the screen slowly, only one of them will spawn, which allows you to perform a loop like this. And with him defeated, I can scroll the screen further to make the other one spawn. There he is. And I think I actually got I actually managed to hit him to the pit. Now this part as Gilius is pretty important. It's not super important, but a trick you can do is try to attack the thieves by looking to the left. I didn't do a great job here, but if you can get all the potions to like the right side, you will actually have you have max magic, and you still have 4 potions on the ground to use it again. So unfortunately, I only got 2 of the potions on the right side, so if I did get all 4 potions, I probably would use magic here, but again, it's manageable, so got through it no problem. And now coming up is the boss and 2 enemies. So I try to get at least 1 hit off on the jobbers, and then I use magic immediately. And with that, I can actually grab the 2 potions on the left. Awesome. And this enemy right here, the Armed Knight, he's really, really easy. Even if you don't have the mount, he is so easy to defeat. He does deal a lot of damage per hit, like if he gets a hit on you, and he does have a lot of range. But the main weakness is that he cannot run. So if you don't have the mount, you can actually just spam running attacks and it'll work just as well. And if you do have the mount, it's even easier. Now another thing I wanted to mention, I didn't get to mention this, is that now another story cutscene. So much is going on, but it's all good. I have plenty of time to explain the rest. We have gone in close to the vicinity of the castle, but the way is blocked by enemy lines. We must dare the fiend's path to reach the castle. Anyways, even if you got hit and you still have 3 bars of health, always grab the food anyways, because the game will remember that you took damage on that first or second hit. So even if it looks like you didn't lose health because of the health bars, always grab the food just in case. You never know, especially if you took damage. Now you can see me here abusing Gilius's special attack, which is done by pressing attack and jump at the same time. And it is amazing because throughout this whole stage you see me using it a lot. Now coming up are some skeletons. The first one you can stand up on them and just knock them off. And for the next 2 coming up, you can actually just keep them on the top and just attack them from this angle right here. And because I'm using Gilius, I'm able to do some goofy stuff like this, like using a special attack that looks like it shouldn't hit. Same deal with the next skeleton, just go back, just make sure you stay under it, and you should be able to defeat it no problem. And it should work the same as the other characters. Obviously they can't reach as far, but when the skeleton gets close, you can just simply hit it. I think their back attack still reaches, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. But if not, then you can always use like a jumping attack or something. Anyways, I'm going to do the same thing to the next enemy spawning. And I think, yeah, this is a boss battle because you can obviously hear the boss music playing. And 2 more enemies will spawn right here. I haven't really been talking about like how to deal with the enemies outside of like the, you know, the strategies of like using the pit and all that. I already mentioned in the intro, pretty much just the Y-axis is your best friend. Using attacks that knock down is very useful because trying to combo while two enemies are like sandwiching you is very risky. So you can see me doing that here. And I'm saving my magic because I know 3 more enemies is going to spawn after this wave. There we go. And I try to at least get some damage in on the skeletons. Unfortunately, I took a lot of damage there. And to keep it safe, I decided to use my level 3 magic. So that should defeat the one on the left, but the one on the right is still alive because I haven't dealt damage to him yet. But one back attack should do it. Assuming I even do it, but instead I'm doing running attacks, which is, again, they are just as useful. Really quick knockdown. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is the last camp you're able to go to. Like, after this, there are no more campsites in between stages, so whatever items you get here is the last, it's pretty much the last time you're able to get food. The Fiend's Path was a great eagle. You are taken across the skies to the castle. Now the final battle begins. So yeah, because there are no more campsites, that means there is no more health drops to pick up. So the health you have is whatever you have left. Anyways, 3 skeletons immediately go to the right. One of them will fall off, and then the rest you should be able to do a running attack on. Got really unlucky that one to the right actually went to the right side, so now this is a little bit awkward. Because I don't normally like fighting these guys, they do deal a lot of damage, so I'm just sticking to running attacks. But the important part is that if you are going to do running attacks, make sure you're not too far away, because if you're too far away from them, they will do a running attack against you and they can knock you off. Anyways, I immediately did a running attack there because I knew an enemy on the dragon was going to spawn, and the goal here is to keep this dragon as long as I can. Now there is a pit to the left, so I'm going to take advantage of that by luring the enemies there, as you can see there. And there's one more enemy that should like jump into it. Okay, not quite, but I was able to hit him off. And there should be 3 more enemies spawning right here. And yeah, that was a mistake on my part. I shouldn't have did the basic attack after doing the running attack. I think it was because I thought it missed, so I just did it just in case. And yeah, I'm doing a pretty bad job here, all things considered. And how did this part go? I'm pretty sure this part was because I remember I actually struggled a little bit. I could be wrong though. Anyways, there are 2 armored knights. Now, personally, I think it's easier if you can get them on different sides. I'm always it's possible to just keep them on one side and keep hitting them that way, but I don't know, it feels a bit weird, like because when you do that, one of them will try to go the other way, but then they'll go back to your line of fire when the other one is knocked down. So to keep it simple, I just keep one on each side, and it's just, for me personally, it feels much safer. Obviously it's not as quick, but better to be safe than sorry. Anyways, the quote-unquote final boss. So for this part, because I'm using Gilius, I can actually afford to leave plenty of the potions here, which is great. I actually got so there's 5 pots right there, so I got max magic. I can get 4 pots for another max magic, and I can also get just 1 more for like that crowd control. Now, why am I not using it now? Well, because again, the final boss is coming up, and he has skeletons with him, and I find them way more dangerous than like the enemies that's on screen right now, even though like the big dude that deals a lot of damage in 1 hit. So I'd rather just keep things simple and just fight them normally without having to use magic. Now this is a little bit awkward because like you can see like the pots are right there and I'm trying not to grab them, so I have to like play this in a really weird way. But it works out. He should be dead in like 1 or 2 more hits. It might be the next hit. There we go. Now, for this part, yeah, just immediately use magic. I did not want to get hit by that guy. I was not prepared. But it's all good because there's 4 more pots right there, and what I'm trying to do is, like, normally I'd try to get some hits in on Death Adder before using another spell, but I decided to just use another one anyways. And the skeleton should be very low on health at this point. I don't know if this would defeat them, because I think level 1 magic deals 4 HP, so maybe it might? Oh my goodness, it did. Okay, my math is on point. Anyways, once you knock down Death Adder, if you can do the running attack loops, the running jump attack, he'll go down very, very, very quickly, which is really good. And with that, we beat Golden Axe 1. Here is the ending. Accept my utmost gratitude for our rescue. I thank you for your courage, for you have rid us of the hideous Death Adder. But I have a feeling that he might have been taking orders. Sometimes he did disappear into that door. Will you go into battle for me yet once more? Yes, my lord. Yep, of course that, I mean, obviously, I probably hinted at it in the intro, but of course that wasn't the final boss. There is more to this game. Now, if this was the arcade game, that would be it, but again, introducing the console exclusive stages, which is right here. So the first two enemies are pretty easy. The guy to the right of you can knock him off, and the guy to the left of you can just keep him at the top. And for these next enemies, you can use the... Wow, I'm stuttering like mad. Good grief. You can use the pits to your advantage by knocking them off. Some of them will even walk into it if you're lucky, like that guy to the left. And coming up should be a skeleton and another enemy. Knocking her off isn't a problem. It's the skeleton that... He actually robbed a run from me or two. And I was... Oh, man. Because he, like... I think it was a mix of him knocking me off or... Oh, wow. This part is good. That was really risky for me to do. Yeah, so what you saw me try to do right there is that I was trying to, like... I hit him twice and then I tried to go on the other side to grab him because... In Golden Axe 1, you can't change the direction you grab in, so... If you're trying to grab someone from like the other side, you have to like move around a bit. Now, unfortunately, I'm using Gilead's Underhead, so this part is useless. Like, if you're using Tyrion's Flare, you can get, I think, enough pots for max magic, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might be one pot off, if I'm wrong. Like, it's been a while since I've finished this game as Tyrion's Flare, so don't quote me on that. Anyways, two more skeletons. Use the pit to your left to your advantage. And man, look at those enemies on the top. Imagine if those guys were... I'm sure so many people said that too. I can't be the only one, but like... I always thought that like those two statues at the top would actually be like enemies or like the secret final boss, or maybe there's a way to fight them. But unfortunately, they're only there for decoration. Now, oh wow, I actually took a hit there. So, with these knights, same thing. You can utilize running attacks to knock them off the pit. And this is kind of a... I'm a bit nervous here because this is the final boss. And my strategy is to move up, immediately do a running downward thrust in space, and then like do this loop right here. The skeleton interrupted me, and now I'm completely nervous because I'm pretty much... if Deathbringer hits me once, it's over. Because when this boss hits you, he'll cast a spell immediately. With the exception of the ground pound, which that move right there, so I just panicked. I'm like, you know what? No better time to use the magic than now. So there goes my one spell, and now I need to get as much damage as I can before the skeletons eventually do their running attack. And now I'm out of there. So when you don't have any spells, this is where the fight gets really, really dangerous. And again, the Y-axis is your best friend. Like, do not forget about it. So you can see me actually using it to like not only knock out the skeletons, but to also get some damage on Deathbringer. So you know, I'm spacing, I'm using the running attack to knock them down, and then I move up. And whoa, yeah, that yeah, I think my heart was... Wow. Oh, okay. Wow, okay, that... I don't remember it being that... Okay, I'll talk about that in a bit. Good grief. Oh my goodness. Alright. Thank you, Gallant One. Now the people will be able to live. And I wasn't pressing anything here because my heart was racing, man. Like, I just put down the controller after this. To build and to prosper in peace, may you be titled the savior of our kingdom. Now, prepare for a grand feast. Is that it? Or... Oh. We praise your acts of bravery and deeds of courage. Okay, yeah, and that's it. Finally, you have defeated all the evil clan. The land shall revive in peace, and the people will talk of your deeds as a legend in the years to come. Man, that final fight, I knew it was close, I don't remember it being that close. So what even happened? first off, that movement the enemies was doing, I don't know how I dodged all of that. Again, I was just making use of the Y-axis, so, of course, like, just using the Y-axis, you can dodge a lot of stuff in this game. But then that ending where I dashed attack Deathbringer to defeat him, and the skeleton to the right comboed me. If that running attack did not defeat him, I think I was dead. Because that skeleton was about to do a full combo, and I know that combo deals like 12 HP, maybe more. Like, it deals more than a full health bar, so I was dead there. Wow, what a nail biter. Anyways, that was Golden Axe 1. And you can see the cast of characters here. Their attack level is complete BS. It's false. If you go to the guide in the description, I actually did jot down all of the damage numbers that the enemies deal. And the only difference in their color is their health. That's it. Like, and it might be, I think it was changed a bit in Golden Axe 2, where, you know, the later enemies, they'll have a bit faster attack speed and movement speed. But they still deal, the colors, like the differences in colors, they still deal the same amount of damage. For example, like all of the, like the woman, all of her colorless palettes do the same damage. The same goes for like the first enemy, the second enemy, and what else am I missing? Yeah, these guys. So, you know, the color palette doesn't matter. All it changes is their health bars. It does not change their damage. So I don't know why they showed the attack level when it's completely false. Maybe they should have like replaced it with health level. That would make a bit more sense maybe. Anyways, oh man, this game... I guess I'm also talking about that too. This game took me so long to beat without losing a life. I think I was playing this for like 4 to 5 hours straight. I was like losing my cool, dude. It's just really, really difficult. At least for me, like... Because with Golden Axe 2... I mean, I won't even get into that one yet, but pretty much you have like... How can I explain Golden Axe 2? Why it's easier? I guess the best way I can explain it is Axe Battler. I'll go into that when we get to that one, so I can't wait. And with Golden Axe 3, you have so many different attacks and there's so much broken stuff you can do in that I don't find it that hard to do. But yeah, this one easily, in my opinion, I think Golden Axe 1 is the hardest game in the series. Well, I should say in the trilogy. Because I'm not counting like the arcade game and all that stuff. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It felt so good to finally get a no-miss run, but man, it was hard. I was like, I did not want to give up. I just kept going, and I guess I should mention that. Oh yeah, I never got to... I'll probably show that in the intro if I haven't already. But Death Adder Jr., he only appears in the beginner mode. And that's when you get the ending telling you to try the like regular arcade mode instead. And whatchamacallit? But yeah, just a lot of failed attempts. Deathbringer pretty much took my lunch money. He was like giving me such a hard time. I didn't even get to do the infinite loop that I wanted to do, because when I face Deathbringer, I can usually get like 5 jumping downward thrusts in before the skeletons get too close, in which I have to use magic. And if I'm doing that strategy as Serious Flay, I can actually just defeat him outright, like 5 downward thrusts and then use magic, and then if I do like 1 or 2 more, he's just dead. That's it. And I think it's very possible to actually beat him without, like you can get that loop going without having to use magic too, like depending on how you position it. But I mean, I'm not exactly sure how, so I just went with what I know. And yeah, there's not much else for me to say. I mean, you see, that's the thing. I love this game, but I didn't grow up with this game. The game I grew up with was Golden Axe 2, and that's the one I love the most because of that. But I still think this game is great, and obviously it's a classic, you know. If you like it, cool. If you hate it, I don't know what to say. Maybe beat 'em ups aren't for you, but I really like this game. It's a classic. I think it's great. Obviously it has a flaw or two, but still a pretty dang good beat 'em up for its time. Anyhow, I think coming up will be the duel mode for Golden Axe 1. And with that said, I'll be back for when we start Golden Axe 2. Golden Axe 2. This sequel made plenty of cool changes to the gameplay while still being faithful to the first game at its core. There's no reason for me to talk about the controls again, so let's get into the changes specifically. As expected, the game did get a step up in presentation. I find it much better overall, and I prefer this game over the first in many ways, though it could very well be nostalgia clouding my judgment. More importantly, I want to talk about the gameplay changes. The first notable change is how magic works. Instead of using all of your magic points at once, you can now control how much is used. Pressing and holding A will start to highlight your magic points in white, and releasing A will use up the amount that was highlighted. On top of magic damage being more varied across the cast, this gives you so much more control over your playstyle. Yeah, you can still save that huge fire-breathing dragon for that important fight, but now you have the option to use multiple spells for crowd control. As for combat, it's still the same, but there are some important changes. First off, the special attack is now unique for each character. The damage has been halved from the first game, but it now hits enemies on both sides rather than behind. Second, the running downward thrust attack has been slightly nerfed in terms of damage. Last but not least, throws have gotten a huge buff. Not only can you change the direction mid-animation, but you can now throw an enemy into others to knock them down. The ones who are knocked down by the throw enemy will also take double the damage, making throws really useful this time around. Another huge change is how Bizarrians work. Their running attack are now just as strong as their basic attack. Not only that, but this attack can go through multiple enemies as well. This is on top of another benefit where you would take 0 damage upon being knocked off a Bizarrian. Mind you, this goes for the enemies too, so keep that in mind. The only exception is if you use magic to knock them off. The other changes include the thieves being replaced with mages, the enemies being a bit more difficult this time around, and Axe Battler having what's possibly the most overpowered spell in the series. I'll go over those and plenty more in the long play, but as usual, you can always check the written guide in the description below. A few years after the last battle, in this land, the peace is threatened again by an evil power. The Lord of Darkness, Dark Guild, who should have been imprisoned in ancient times, arose again. He destroyed entire countries with his evil clan to bring this world into chaos. Once again, the three warriors have thrown themselves into a mighty battle. Oh boy, Golden Axe 2, I love this game so much. Anyways, well, it's most likely due to the fact that at one point this was the only Sega Genesis game I had, along with Mortal Kombat 2 of all things. But anyways, I do start by going to the options, and we are going to be playing on hard. And for the life, I do leave it to the default, but if you are struggling, you can increase it to 5. And as for the magic, if you set it to normal, it's actually Golden Axe 1 rules, where pressing the button will immediately use all of the magic, and it's Golden Axe 2, so I just left it on default, which is special, which allows you to control how much magic you use, and when using someone like Axe Battler, it is very, very useful, which you will see when we get up to the first boss. Now, there's not much for me to mention in terms of the strategy. Like, using the Y-axis is still really useful in this game, like, no matter what. And some other things to mention is, of course, the buffs to throws, which that enemy on the left took like 8 health, so he's really close to being defeated, like right there. And coming up should be a mage. Now, big problem with mages in this game. Not only are they actually an enemy, but it is very, very possible to defeat them before getting all of their magic. For example, you can see that mage went down in 2 running attacks. If I did a combo or running downward thrust, the mage would be defeated and I'll only get 1 magic book. And that's not... I'm not okay with that. I think it's a bit silly that they made it that way. Usually, sometimes you can like get a regular attack in and they'll immediately get knocked down, which is it's guaranteed in the camp sections, but it is very possible to defeat them before getting all of their magic, so keep that in mind. Anyways, what else is there to mention? The difficulty. So the only thing I noticed is that with hard mode there are more enemies to fight, and I don't think they have more HP. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same on normal mode, it's just more enemies in general. And for easy mode, it's similar to the beginner mode in Golden Axe 1, where the enemies have less health. What else? Yeah, the enemies have less health, and there's only like 4 or 5 stages, and the game ends. And the final boss for the easy mode, I think, is like a pink headless knight. And oh yeah, right. All right, maybe stop talking about that. Maybe talk about this broken spell. So the best spell in the game is Axe Battler's level 2 spell. And the reason is because it makes him throw all enemies in the exact same spot, which lets you loop all of them at the exact same time. I don't need. That's just. I don't know if they were thinking with that spell. It's the only spell like that to have like an effect where like it's not just like, oh, it hits all enemies and knocks them down. It actually like just groups all of them together, and it just allows them to do that nonsense, which is really good. Anyways, now for some story. After the battle in the Ravaged Village, we decided to start for the ancient ruins. But yeah, that spell is so freaking broken, dude. Anyways, as usual, you see me scroll the screen slowly so I don't have to fight as many enemies. And I should mention the infinite, quote-unquote, infinite magic glitch. I'll probably put an image up of what it kind of looks like when you pull it off. It's a pretty easy glitch to do. When you get up to the first boss, you wanna make sure you have at least like, I think, 2 magic points exactly. And once you defeat him, or probably even while you're facing him, you want to hold the magic button to highlight both of those magic points, and like keep it held even after the boss is defeated. And they should disappear when you get to the camp section. And after that, once you get to the next stage, your character will instantly cast a spell, and then you would get like a bunch of magic points that's shown in the, again, assuming I put the image up. Hopefully I don't forget, but. Yeah, you pretty much have, I think the exact number of magic you have is 255. If not, then it's just like infinite magic. Like you have all the magic in the world. Of course, the only problem with the glitch is that, one, it makes the game ridiculously easy. Like if you, okay, I don't want to be that guy, but if you use the infinite magic glitch and you still get game over, you freaking suck. All right, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but anyways, too, another thing is that if you try to charge up magic over your character's limit, there is a chance that you can freeze the game. Like, unless you know exactly how much to use up to use the other spells, which is possible to do with the glitch. Anyways, I should be talking about what's going on here. I am utilizing the mount, which is really broken. Again, I'm making use of the Y-axis, and I decided to use a level 1 spell because there's a book right there, and I can just get that to get back to level 4. Not that I need to use level 4, but it's, again, like, you might as well have max magic, because what makes Axe Battler so good is that he can get up to level 4, and oh wait, there's so much going on. My apologies, but the reason why I use the spell there is because those mages, they die in 1 hit from the mount, and so because of that, if you're using the mount to hit them, you only get 2 magic books. But if you use magic, you can get 2 books from them back, and then you can use the mount to get the other 2 books. So if you're stuck on the mount and you're facing the mages, here's the 2 things you can do to optimize how much magic you get. You can either use a spell to get 2 books to drop and then defeat them to get the other 2 books, or, which is kind of risky, you can let them hit you off the mount, and then you can get the 4 magic books from them and maybe have enough time to get back on the mount before it runs away. So that's why you started to use the spell earlier, and maybe try to get back on subject, because not a lot is going on at the minute. I'm just abusing the running attack of the mount to like breeze through this part, no problem. It's really good. It has a lot of priority too, so you can even beat up the running attacks of the skeletons. And yeah, so the reason why it's so good to have max magic as Axe Battler is because his level 2 spell only costs 3 points, and so it'll leave you with 2 magic points left, which is really good because that means you only need 1 more to do it again. Yeah, coming up should be the boss. There are yeah, just these 2 skeletons, and then the boss will pop up. Now the boss will have skeletons with him, and they have a ton of HP, like a bit too much. So you better believe I'm going to be using the level 2 magic here and doing the infinite loop. So there we go. And then you just throw them. And the important part about this loop is that you get to the other side. Unfortunately, I missed one of the enemies, which was the boss himself, but if I can at least get the skeletons, then it's more than worth. And you can see right here that I immediately used the spell because I didn't want to get hit by the knight. And actually, wow, did I calculate that? I don't think I didn't think the spell would actually like defeat them. I thought it just knocked them back, but wow, okay. Anyways, once the boss is alone, it's very easy. You can even do this as without the mount. You can just keep using the running attack. Like, it will still work the same way as long as you time it well. It's just easier to do as a mount because it's like a big hitbox. Anyway, similar to Golden Axe 1, the green mages will drop food. Food has been buffed in this game. I'll talk about that in a bit. We found the enemy was using the ancient ruins as a base. We have destroyed it, and now we leave for the enemy's headquarters. So, the food in Golden Axe 1 gave specifically 16 HP, which was exactly a health bar. But in Golden Axe 2, they now refill the current health bar to full and give you another health bar on top of it. So, it actually recovers more than usual, in a sense. And you can see right here, I'm just using running attacks to keep these guys at bay. And I almost messed that up, but thankfully I didn't. And yeah, when it comes to the running attack, the running leap, I don't know if... I'm trying to remember. Did I mention that in the intro? I don't think I did, but the enemies will actually try to like dodge your attacks and all that. You can see that I did the running leap and the running downward thrust. But because the enemy was already up by the time I performed it, he actually moved out of the way. And I think it's a similar case for Golden Axe 1. Maybe it's not as apparent. And another thing is that, I think it happened in the second boss fight, but the Headless Knights, they will actually like move out of the way while you're running at them. Which isn't too bad because you can still just, you can still, oh man, I'm so lost. I apologize. But the point is you can still run at them and then use a Y-axis to get close enough to hit them immediately. Because their attacks aren't too fast. Anyways, I messed up there. What I wanted to do was the level 2 spell to draw them out of the pit. But that's okay because I can still just make use of the Y-axis to make them fall off. And then I can use running attacks to knock them off. So yeah, that kind of went a little bit better, but again, like even if you don't have, if you're not using the Axe Battler, you can still do stuff like this. Just make them walk off. And destroy the enemy right there. Being able to change the direction of your throw mid-animation is such a welcome change. I love it a lot. Because it allows you to do stuff like that, whereas usually you'd have to like switch sides and you might not even have enough room. So I stopped right here because I know there are 2 more enemies coming up and I'd rather fight this one first than fight the other 2 on top of this one. Now they do have plenty of HP, so this might take some time to do. But as long as you time your attacks, it's very easy. So you should be defeated right here. There we go. And these next 2 enemies, you can just knock off the pit to the left. There we go, making use of that drill buff. Anyways, for this boss battle, it will be 4 lizards. And if you do not have this spell and you don't know how to perform the loop, it can get very nasty. Ooh, I actually missed. Okay, this is not looking great. That was very risky for me to do, and now I gotta play this fight a little bit honestly. So, this enemy type is a little annoying because they have a tail swipe that if you try to jump at them, they'll use it. It can actually anti-air you, and it deals a lot of damage. I think it deals exactly like if they hit you with 2 tail swipes, it will take a bar of health away. And another thing is that their running attack has a huge hitbox. Like, it will almost always beat your running attack if you try to challenge it. Like, it's just because they have their sword out. And I think even if you have like, if you're using mounts, it can still do that. So they easily have like, in terms of enemies, they have the best running attack in the game. So you really don't want to challenge that. You don't want to try to like beat them out of it. I think it's possible to do so, but it's just risky. And yeah, just a pretty difficult enemy type. You'll see more of them later on. To reach the enemy's castle, which is blocked by high mountains, we reluctantly decide to march through the cave called Dragon's Throat. Anyways, this stage, a little bit difficult. This is where the game's difficulty really goes up. A lot of skeletons to fight, and there will be plenty more of those lizard men I mentioned earlier. And for this one, I just try to fight it one-on-one. I don't want to go forward and make the other 2 spawn yet. Or I'm pretty sure they can't yet, but... Actually, no, I'm pretty sure they can, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, not too bad. You just gotta be patient, and soon enough, he will go down. any day now. And I'm using the special attack because it deals 6 HP, whereas I think the jump attack deals... Actually, I think the jump attack, because of the damage nerf to... wow, that was scary. I think I was trying to draw the skeleton on that, like, I was trying to grab the right skeleton to jump to the left like that. But I messed up the timing. And for this part, way too dangerous. I'm just going to use a spell here and try to perform the infinite loop, because I really don't want to fight all 4 skeletons. And I think I messed it up actually. Yeah, I only got 3 of them, which isn't too bad. Oh wow, those 2. Yeah, I could barely tell how many they were because they were like grouped up. Anyways, at this point I'm panicking, so I just use a regular spell to knock them all back. And that should be able to get a few more loops in. There we go. And they should be low on health, so at this point I'm not too worried. But that kind of went way better. If I got the loop down at the very first spell cast, I wouldn't have lost some health and lose. I actually had to use a lot of magic in that section. I normally don't have to use a level 1 after that. Anyways, for this part, you can actually use the wall to your advantage to perform loops or to just keep the enemy at bay, because again, the enemies have a habit of trying to sandwich you, so the lizard is trying really, really hard to get to the other side, but since I'm close to the wall, that is not possible. So really easy if you know how to do that. And coming up should be, yeah, these guys. Now, as usual, I am scrolling the screen slowly. In fact, that one section with the 4 skeletons, I think if you don't scroll the screen all the way, you only have to fight like 3 of them, and then you can fight the 4th one on your own, like alone, I should say. But I decided to fight all 4 of them because I was going to use a spell anyways, so it didn't go as badly as I thought it would. And yeah, if I go any further, oh wow, I took some damage there. If I go any further, a second lizard will spawn, so I'd rather just fight this one-on-one. And I should mention at this point that Golden Axe 2, it wasn't as bad as Golden Axe 1, but this one also took me some attempts to get a no-miss run. And it came down to like just me having it came up to moments like earlier where I messed up the infinite loop when I did the level 2 spell, and it was also moments where like I was starting to get careless, I was getting cocky, and I would just keep scrolling the screen all the way and making all of the enemies spawn because I was just in a rush. I'm like, yo, I just want to get this over with. But that is not the way to play this. I mean, well, if you're good at the game, obviously you can, but I just wanted to keep it safe, you know. I'm trying to like beat the game without losing a life, so I should be taking this seriously and not trying to rush it. Maybe just like play it patiently and taking advantage of stuff like this where the enemy has to jump in order to get on the top platform. So what you can do is simply hit them. And because you're not on the same platform as them, they won't try to perform a running attack even if you're far away. So when you're facing these guys, this is the safest way to deal with them. Of course, the only aspect is making sure that you get both of them down there in the first place, because of course, if one of them's on the platform, they will try to sandwich you from the other side instead. So, but if you can't get them on below, it's much easier. Now coming up is, yep, there's the mount, so I'm immediately going to use the spell to guarantee that I get it, because I do not want to chance it. There we go. And this mage in particular, the mage with the purple skin, they actually have 16 HP, so like it takes 2 mount attacks to actually defeat them, and they still only drop 2 spell books, so it's alright to use the mount to actually get the magic books out of them. Anyways, this mount is very, very important for the boss fight. If you're playing this game and you're trying to get through it, keeping this mount for this fight will be so good. It'll be so useful compared to like trying to fight the boss with without it. Again, you can do it without the mount, of course, but it's just so much easier if you have it. So, something that is a bit of a gray area for me in terms of how this game works. I think the enemies have like, when they get up from a knockdown, they have invincibility frames, but it's only against certain attacks, because, you know, obviously you can do like running attack loops and all, and that running downward thrust. But it felt like whenever I did the flame attack, like, you know, the one you're seeing here, like it would just go right through them, and like it just wouldn't work when they get up. Now, this fight is a bit awkward in trying to do the level 2 loop, because you have to position yourself very carefully to make sure you have enough room to like side switch and then hit them to the other side. So you can see here that I just barely have enough room to do this loop. Just, it's like so barely. but it was just good enough. And right here I messed it up, but it's okay because again, even if you're not using the Axe Battler, having the mount makes it so much easier. Oh, and another thing I should mention, if you go into that fight and you're not using a spell, defeat the lizards first without hitting the bosses, because the bosses actually won't attack you until you hit them, or until you defeat the lizards. So deal with the lizards first and then fight the bosses, to make it like on 2-on-2 fights or whatever. We have passed through the long red hot cave and found the castle gate standing in front of us. So we're getting very close to the end of this game. And right here there are going to be 3 lizards. I'm not messing around. I'm going to immediately throw them to this wall on the left, because I do not want to fight them alone. Well, like, you know, while they spread out. And I think to keep it safe, I decided to use running attacks. Now, something I should mention, the campsite I should mention that happened recently, that is the last time you'll be able to go to camp. So there are no more food to get throughout the rest of this game. So you can imagine me trying to do like a no miss run. Like, the health I have now is all the health I'm going to have for the rest of the game. So there's very room, like there's so little room for mistakes here. For example, like that move right there, I just lost half an HP bar. So if I get hit by another one of those, I'm losing an HP bar. So I'm already like kind of flustered at this point because I got hit that early. But again, might as well keep going. You never know. And there are 4 enemies here, but if you have the mount, it should be doable. I always try to go after the mage first, since the mage on the mount is more dangerous than these guys, I feel. Since the mount deals a lot of damage. Granted, when you're on a mount, you do take 0 damage upon being knocked off, so thank goodness for that. Anyways, these next 3 enemies, you can't actually make them fall off by using the trick of using the right axis. Of course, there are mages here, so obviously you don't want to make them fall off. You want to get the magic books off of them. And I think, oh, I don't like how those magic books are placed. I think I was trying to spread them out so that I can use them for like, yeah, I already got 2 of them by accident. I only wanted to get 1 so that I can use them against one of the bosses. But yeah, what I usually try to do there is spread the books out so that I can use it against the 2 mini bosses coming up, which should be, yeah, these 2 guys. I wasn't able to do that, so I do have to use the mount. I keep calling them mounts. I mean, you call them whatever you want, Bizarrians, monsters, but yeah, as long as you have this guy, these mini bosses are very easy to deal with. Just again, make sure to use a Y-axis though, because if you stay in like the same line, they'll most likely use a running attack if you're too far away. So again, I'm scrolling the screen slowly so that I can fight this enemy first before I make the next 2 spawn. There we go. And coming up should be the boss battle. And this boss battle is kind of interesting because I don't remember how it went. I know how it usually goes. Well, actually, I should mention, if you haven't seen it already, I did a boss rush video showing all the bosses without taking damage. Not that it was that hard to do, because they all involved using this cheap move right here. And because all 4 enemies are grouped up, I can simply hit them with the fire attack. And I messed up right here. So what I wanted to do was, yeah, that was so unfortunate. So the strategy there is you knock both of them down, whether it be by an attack or by magic. And if you do it immediately before they move down, you can actually knock both of them to the wall. But because I was too scared to do a running attack, I think. But if I did so, I think I could have had both of them in a loop. And you can just keep looping them in the same corner over and over. But that was not the case for me, so I have to play this way. And again, I'm not using running attacks because the Headless Knights will move out of the way if you try to do a running attack against them. So I'm not going to be doing that. And sooner enough, they should go down. It's probably like 1 hit away. Or 2. There we go. And yeah, there's no campsite. You just go straight to the next fight. Well, I should say the next stage. And yeah, this is it. Our enemy, Dark Guild, must be in this castle. Now take courage. The real battle has just started. And I'm getting a lot of points so far. It's mostly because I haven't been getting, taking a lot of damage, or losing lives, I should say. Like, losing lives really hurts your score in this game. Anyways, off the bat, there are 3 mages. They drop 2 books each, so you can get 6 books from this part alone. Again, use jumping or running attacks because they will, whatchamacallit, they will be defeated in 1 combo or 1 running downward thrust, and then you'll miss out on magic books if you do it that way. So you can see that I use the magic specifically right there because that pillar actually acts as a wall, which is really, really good. Anyways, those two bosses will spawn. If you're fast enough, you can actually do the same exact trick. There we go. So it was just barely like at the column, and yeah, you can just use it as a wall and do this loop, which is really useful. And if you're playing on normal mode, there will only be one of them, so it's not too bad. But especially on hard mode, it's really useful if you use that tactic. And again, it doesn't have to be Axe Battler. Like even a level 1 spell, you can just like hit them to the column and then start the loop. Anyways, this next part, make use of this pit. I'm trying to make the rest of the enemies spawn, which it should be a lizard and maybe one more enemy. Let's see. Yep, there it is. It's 2 lizards, and one of them should fall off, and the other I'm going to try to throw him by landing a combo, and there we go. So now this part is a bit awkward. I don't remember what I did here. I think I used a spell, which was not the move because my mindset was, oh, there's a column in the middle, I can knock them into it. But they were like, I think the direction to get knocked back in depends on like where you're at on screen. So because I was between them, they just got knocked back to the left and right side. And this tactic right here, what I'm doing, the running attacks with the y-axis, is kind of risky. And I say that because there is a chance that they can actually like do a running attack themselves and it can beat yours. It depends on the timing. And I'm pretty sure it'd be way safer if I use the combos into like throwing the one into the other. But yeah, they do have a lot of HP, so this is going to take some time. Oh yeah, damn, that did so much damage. I think that deals 8 HP too. That did like half a bar. So yeah, I only got hit twice so far. I got hit by the flamethrower of the but the flame of the dragon from the previous stage, and then I got hit by that draw right there. So I'm pretty much at what? Oh, that is so much damage too. So yeah, I'm really nervous at this point because again, there are no more health pickups at this point. So yeah, at this point, I think I have exactly 16 HP left. So I did so little room for error at this point. So at this point, I feel like I said at this point so many times, but this skeleton right here, I'm just using the y-axis to fight him safely. Once he moves into my lane, I attack him. You can also move into their lane, which is a little risky, but if you got the timing down, it's actually not that bad. And these mages, I'm pretty sure because they have purple skin. So what? Whoa, you saw that? Wait, what? One of them was charging an orb while moving. Wow, I did not remember that happening. I don't even think I ever seen that happen before. I wonder what would have happened if that went through. No, I guess we'll never know. So there are 2 books there, and I don't know. I don't even remember if I used a spell here. I think I was just trying to stay at the bottom, just to keep the skeletons at bay, which is going really, really well. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and I used the spell right there because I didn't want the one that was coming towards my direction to get behind me. And then I used another one, but again, I'm not worried because there are 2 books right there, which I saved for later. There we go, so I'm back to max MP. And at this point, I can't really... How much health do I have? That was 2 hits, so that was like, what? I either have 12 HP or 10 HP. Like, I'm really close to dying. Like, my health is really low, but it's not low enough in that I can die in 1 hit because there are no attacks in this game that deal more than 8 HP. So I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a complete nerd, but like these were the thoughts going through my head as I was playing this game, because I'm like, okay, I took like 1 or 2 hits. I took like 2 hits from the skeleton, so I'm like at most, like at the very least, I'm 2 hits away from dying because nothing in this game deals more than 8 HP, even the final boss can't deal more than that. And considering I have like 10 to 12, at most I'll die in 2 hits. So I really, like, I can afford to get hit maybe 1 more time. Of course though, a combo from a skeleton will most definitely kill me. But yeah, I am saving my magic because very important boss fight is coming up. This is quote-unquote Dark Guild, as the game alluded to in the intro. But we're about to find out the truth in a bit. And yeah, these enemies, I should be utilizing the throw. I don't know if I do that here. There we go. I didn't get to hit that enemy to the right, unfortunately, but it could be worse. At least I didn't get hit. And yeah, they should be going down soon, and coming up will be the boss battle, aka the supposed final boss. So, not much advice I can give on this one, you just have to do it. 3 lizards and a headless knight, which is pretty freaking dangerous, so if I mess up this loop, it is a wrap. Like, I have to at least defeat something. Like, if I can defeat the lizards, it would be really good, pretty much. There we go, so I at least got them. And I think right here, I did it way too early, and I got hit. Okay, so if my math is correct, I think I have like 2 health points exactly, like 4 or 2. So if I get hit by anything, I'm dead. Anyways, final boss time, Dark Gold. Let him get slightly close to you via the Y-axis and then use a spell. Then immediately run to the other side. That was so risky. If he did I think if he did an axe swing, I was dead there. But instead, he tried to summon skeletons. Anyways, I was not going to risk doing the running downward thrust, so I just stick to running attacks. And oh man, if you see, I'd love to like record more runs where like I'm actually commentating and playing at the same time, but this was so stress-inducing, and like unfortunately New York is very loud at times, so I have to like I can't always record that well. But yeah, I did not want to risk doing the running downward thrust, so I just stick to the running attack instead, which is slower but much more safer. And this can be done as any character. The important part is that like, well, I don't know about Tyrus Flair, since her level 1 has like a bit more recovery frames. I could be wrong on that though. But yeah, if you can just get a knockdown and then start that loop, you can not only prevent yourself from getting hit, but you can prevent him from summoning skeletons. And yeah, that is Golden Axe 2. After the long, hard battle, you finally defeat the evil emperor. Now the world will be at peace again. You are a true hero. You're damn right. Oh boy, man. Both of these games are very stressful when I played through them. Like, oh man. But that's what I love about these older games in a sense. Like, they give me that, like, I don't know. I don't remember the last, like, new game I played that. I just had that rush of, like, yo, like, it could actually be over here if I don't focus up or something. I don't know, man. But yeah, as I said before, that was Golden Axe 2. I freaking love this game. It could be nostalgia, so you know, take it with a grain of salt of why I prefer this over Golden Axe 1. But yeah, really fun game overall. And man, like I don't know, I don't know how, like there was Golden Axe 1 where I actually could have died if that last attack didn't win. And then there was this game where like right when I reached the final boss, I was like just exactly 1 or 2 hit, pretty much 1 hit away from being dead. Like it was so clutch, which is kind of funny because Golden Axe 3 was much easier, but I think that also had some close moments, just not at the, you know, at the very end of the game, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how that goes when I commentate over it, because it has been a while since I've again, there's been some time since I've recorded these runs, so I don't remember exactly what happened, and especially in Golden Axe 3 in particular, but I do know that I got through it without losing that life. But yeah, man, I really love Golden Axe 1 and 2. And I mean, I'll talk about Golden Axe 3 when I commentate over it. There are some things I really want to say about that one, but I just gotta hold my thoughts for now. And man, I don't know, just looking back, I was just so happy to actually give these games like the time they deserve, because originally I recorded these like when I was originally going to do this video, it's just going to be casual runs where like maybe I'll lose a life or 2, and that was actually the case for some time, but I decided to just, you know what, maybe go back to these games. If I can do a no miss run on Alien Storm, then surely I can do the same for Golden Axe. And after plenty of practice, I did exactly that. So I'm very proud of this one. Like, I'm very proud that I was able to especially for Golden Axe 1 and 2, because they're very difficult. Wow, that is a score. 669. But yeah, I'm very glad I was able to get a no miss run on both. And coming up will be the duel mode for Golden Axe 2, and after that will be Golden Axe 3. So I'll see you there. Oh boy, Golden Axe 3. This is the one that got ridiculed for its graphics, mainly because it wasn't up to par with the other games that came out at the time. I dare say that this game looks worse than its predecessors. But surprisingly, I found the gameplay pretty fun for what it's worth. It has a lot of changes that were very off-putting at first, but once you learn how the game works, it can actually be a pretty fun experience. As for the main characters, the game now stars 4 different heroes. Back then I always thought that the 2 in the middle were Axe and Tiras, but they're actually brand new characters named Kyne and Sarah. I can blame Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for that confusion. It's still my favorite compilation of all time, but it's not exactly perfect on the lore. Now let's talk about the gameplay. The controls are the same, but there are some major differences that we need to go over. Let's start with basic attacks. The combos are now limited to 3 hits, and there are 2 ways to perform a throw. The first way is to combo the enemy up close and then press left or right plus B to throw them. The other way is done with one of the new mechanics added, which is grabbing. To grab the opponent, you have to press B while very close to them. You can either press B multiple times to pummel them, or you can press left or right plus B to throw them. There are some characters that can even perform a different throw by pressing jump instead. The other important mechanic is the addition of blocking. By pressing back and B at the same time, your character will enter a block stance. This will allow you to block a single attack, which will push you back and completely negate the damage. It sounds cool on paper, but it's kinda awkward that this game didn't utilize a 6-button control scheme instead. This is on top of the fact that some of the later enemies will block constantly, which can be rather annoying for newcomers. Of course you can grab the enemy instead, but that won't always be a safe option in some cases. Unfortunately, magic has regressed back to Golden Axe 1, as you can no longer control how much magic is used up. It solely depends on how many magic pots you have, as having a certain amount will only cause your next spell to use up the highest level you reached. It also became more generalized, as all characters deal the same magic damage and can reach the same magic levels. Bizarrians feel downright useless this time around. Most of the buffs they got from Golden Axe 2 are gone, and they don't feel as satisfying to use. Part of this is thanks to the enemies being way more difficult to deal with. Not only will they intentionally avoid falling into a pit, but they'll also read your inputs and instantly react to some of your attacks. This makes even the common enemies frustrating to fight against if you don't already know how to deal with them. But thankfully there are some additions that can help even the odds. For starters, you will no longer instantly lose a life for falling into a pit. Instead, you'll lose a chunk of your health and respawn back in. Another cool aspect is that you can save hostages throughout the game. Saving 5 of them will award you with an extra life, and the amount saved won't decrease upon using a continue. More importantly, there are more attacks to perform this time around. All characters can perform a downward attack by pressing down and B at the same time. The ground version is useful if you want a quick knockdown, and the aerial version will vary from character to character. Pressing B plus C will still perform a special attack that hits both sides, but now you can press forward B plus C to perform a stronger attack that hits in front of you. For some characters, it can even replace your combo ender with proper timing, leading to a lot of damage. Now there are 2 more important moves that aren't easy to figure out without a manual, and those are what I like to call the super moves and the team attacks. To perform a super move, you have to input a specific command. It will either be forward back forward plus B and C, or a full circle forward with B and C. The command will depend on which character you're using. Team attacks can only be done in a 2-player game. When both characters look at each other, they'll nod their heads. When this happens, either player can press B to perform a powerful team attack. If both players have a combined total of 10 magic pots, they can instead perform a powerful magic spell, with the animation depending on who pressed the button. And with that, I can finally give a brief rundown of each character. First there's Kane Grinder. His running jump attack is amazing thanks to his range and being able to turn around mid-animation. He can also outreach plenty of enemies with his forward special move and has good damage and range all around. Sarah Barn is pretty dang good. Her attacks are fast and her forward special move is amazing. It still deals high damage like the other characters, but it seems to make her invincible, allowing her to counter enemy attacks with this move alone. Chronos Late is easily the most overpowered character. It comes down to his super move being an unblockable gap closer that can go through multiple enemies. If you can perform this move consistently, you will have no trouble finishing this game. Last but not least, there's Proud Cragger. His attacks are slow, but he deals the most damage. His super move is technically the strongest attack of the 4 characters. He'll draw out 3 tornadoes and they'll deal a lot of damage if all 3 connect. However, it will take time to get used to performing and it can still be blocked. Now, before we get into the long play, I need to mention something important. In order to face the true final boss and get the good ending, you need at least 500 points by the end of the game. This is hard to accomplish since you can only see your score in between stages and there's no explanation on how it works. I made a whole video on it, but to put it briefly, you can't die too many times. Losing a life will greatly lower the score you get for the current stage, so this is a game where you kinda have to play well in order to experience it in full. There's also the factor of the multiple paths you can take. Path A is technically the fastest and safest way to finish the game, whereas Path B will have way more enemies to fight. This long play will be tackling Path A, but you can always check the guide in the description if you want to see what Path B is like. In any case, let's play through the final game in the trilogy. And now it's time for Golden Axe 3, which is, of course, the last game in the trilogy. Now, instead of starting off with the regular mode, I'm actually going to start off with, I started off with the Duel mode, which is called the Versus mode now. And the reason is because this mode is much more simple. It's actually 5 fights instead of like 12 or 14. And it's against the other playable characters. Now, King Eve, which is the eagle on the top, he is only playable in this mode. And yeah, in this mode I just want to show off how good Sarah is with her forward kick. But the thing is, yeah, you see, that's the thing. Like, I wanted to like do a run where I use I use whatchamacallit, Gileas for Golden Axe 1, and then Axe Battler for Golden Axe 2, and quote-unquote Tyrus Flare for Golden Axe 3, but of course her name's Sarah Barn. But I decided to, again, this is a guide first and foremost, so I just wanted to show the easiest way to get through this. So for this case, I decided to pick, for the duel mode, aka the versus mode, I picked Sarah Barn because pressing forward plus attack plus jump at the same time makes her do that kick. And I'm sure I mentioned it in the intro, the invincibility frames and the damage is really good. Like, if you're paying attention to the enemy health bars, you like, look how much damage that moves out. It's so much damage. And if you are playing this, like, if you're playing the main mode, that's going to be your bread and butter. Like, you can either just do it raw for the iframes and for the damage, or you can actually combo into it by doing attack, and then, like, after a very, very brief delay, you do the command for the B plus C, like 4 plus B plus C to get the kick. And if with proper timing, it's actually a combo. At least I think it is, but they usually get hit by it. And yeah, you get the same victory quote every time you win. The only difference is, you see, that's the thing. This versus mode is like whatever. Is that really? I don't know. Like, it is cool that there are different stages, and like even I think one of them in particular has walls, which is kind of important because something I don't think I mentioned is both of these characters on screen, Kronos and Sarah, they can actually do a wall jump by pressing jump while by jumping to a wall and pressing jump. And then from there, they can actually do a wall jump attack, which is, it's not necessary, but it is pretty cool that you can do it. So, yeah, like, this versus mode is just, I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's just, like, it's not as exciting. I guess that's the best way I can say it, because, you know, you're facing the characters that you can already select in the main mode, with the exception of King Eve, of course. And it's like, I don't know. I guess if I sound disappointed, then yeah, I am kind of disappointed because, like, I think the duel mode in Golden Axe 1 and 2 was way more interesting. Like, I'm really not a fan of this mode in Golden Axe 3. I would have much preferred, like, it be against multiple enemies. And yeah, that was just me demonstrating how the CPU likes to block a lot. If you are playing the single player mode, you better get used to that with some of the enemies in particular. They will block so much. And I don't know when I stopped doing that. And oh yeah, that's another problem. I think that's why I didn't want to pick her for the playthrough, because not only because she's not as easy as one of the other characters, aka Chronos, but because one problem I had when I was playing this on pad is I'd press, well actually it didn't matter what controller I was using, but like, you know, when I was playing this on the Genesis, aka the Mega SG, the motion for when she throws her sword forward is forward, back, forward, plus B plus C. And the motion for her kick, which does a lot of damage, is forward, B plus C. So I'd have this problem where I'm doing forward plus B plus C to do the kick, and then like maybe I'm trying to like space myself, like I press back or forward, or like back, forward, like space. But because I already pressed back and then I'm moving forward again, I instead draw the sword, and it was just really screwing me up when I was trying to like play this game as her for the long play. But again, I have done it before, but I really wanted to show off Chronos, since again, if you really try to just breeze through this, you could just use him. And yeah, there's not much else for me to say. Like, it's just a very simple duel mode. This is the last fight, and I almost won by doing the same move. That double kick is done by pressing it's the downward jump attack. When you press down and attack at the same time while mid-air, she would do 2 kicks. And right now, I'm trying to grab the boss, aka the final opponent, but again, even though grabs are supposed to be blocking, they can still be risky in this game because the opponent can just grab you back. Congratulations, you have beaten all of the warriors. Cool, yeah, no, not even a score screen, you just go home. Like, go back to the Sega logo. And now, we get into the long play. So, the reason why the game was back on normal mode is because after I did the versus mode with Sarah, I actually did try to beat the game as Sarah in the one-player mode, and I think I lost a life around like the middle to the end of the game. So I said screw it, I turned off the console, you know, turned it back on to restart the recording, and I just picked Chronos to make this much easier. Now that you have been released from the evil curse, your mission is to defeat the Prince of Darkness and return with the Golden Axe. Go now, brave warrior. So yeah, with Sarah it's still pretty easy, you could just keep using that kick, but with Chronos it is way easier. And if you know, I mean, I mentioned the unblockable attack, and that is exactly why. Now you're not seeing me use that yet because the thing with Chronos is that his attack damage is actually really low. I think it's actually his overall damage in general is the lowest in the game. Like, his combo does not do a lot compared to the other 3 characters. However, his forward plus B plus C attack, it's a very slow, like, it's very slow. It's like a double swipe. It is kind of possible to combo after it. I don't think it's guaranteed though. But if you do one jab, like one attack, and then immediately do it after, it's just enough to hit the enemy, like, before they're able to counter you. Like you saw me do it right there. And I'm not even going to, I don't even know if I bother with the mounts. They freaking suck. I really do not like the mounts in this game. But for reference, there's a purple snail which sticks its tongue out at a small range. A yellow snail that has a bit longer reach with its tongue lash, or whatever you want to call it. A yellow dragon with a pathetically like short range throw, which it is good since it's an unblockable, but it's just the range is like point blank, so you have to be right in the enemy's face to even use it. And there is also the red dragon, which sounds awesome because it's like, oh, it shoots fire, right? Yeah, it does, and it sucks because it shoots a fire wave that travels across the ground, and the enemies love to jump over it. So, again, it feels useless at times, but it's probably really useful in like the right area or something. I don't know. Anyways, this is the second part of the first level. This is a good time for me to mention the scoring. So, I don't know if yeah, there's so many. I really need to start taking notes of what I mentioned in the intro and what I didn't. But so you need 500 points to get to the final boss of the game, and defeating enemies normally gives you 1 point. Defeating enemies by like sending them to a pit like this, like, you know, knocking them out of the stage, gives 2 points. And defeating them with magic gives 3 points. And of course, it's multiplied depending on the enemy type. Like, the regular enemies usually give 1 point, and like maybe the boss might give 3 or 5. Like, it really depends on the enemy type. All of this is in the description, so like in the Golden Axe 3 guide. So if you want to see how many points each enemy is worth, then you can go to like the damage and health section. And yeah, like really, it just comes down to another thing I know about the whatchamacallit, the way the point system works is that like the multiplier to your score, like you're building up score right now, right? So let's say I end the stage with 50 points. Well, the multiplier at the end depends on how far you got, like it depends on the stage. So like, for example, I think beating this stage is just like ×1, so I get 50 points for winning. And then like the very final stage, if you get through it without losing a life, you get like, I think it's like ×3 or ×4, and you just get a ton of points if you just manage to. In fact, I think if you beat the last stage in particular without losing a life, you get like 300 to 500 points, which is way more than enough for the good ending. I could be wrong on that though, so don't quote me on that. Anyways, here's the first boss. It is Armored Knight, and these guys love to block a lot, so you better believe I'm going to be spamming the hell out of that unblockable attack. Now right here, because I did that attack 3 times, I know that the knight is about to be defeated. And so I decided to use magic, and I don't know what's going on with my OBS settings, but there seems to be like some kind of like bit rate going on where the game just starts to get fuzzy after certain magic spells. I don't know why. But yeah, because I defeated... Oh wow, he was still alive. He might have 1 HP left now that I think about it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I decided to use a level 1 spell because I really want to get as many points as possible by defeating this enemy with magic. So this should do it. There we go. And yeah, for this playthrough, I did take the path A, which is... If you're going for path A, it will always be the top path no matter what. Like, whenever you see a path to select, always take the top one. And yeah, that is the first stage. I didn't really get to explain the... You see, that's going to be the problem with this long play. I didn't really explain like the strategies or whatever, but that's because like... I don't know, you have to play Golden Axe 3 in a very weird way. Like, it really comes down to the character you're using. It's not like Golden Axe 2 or 1 where the character you pick doesn't matter too much because like in terms of basic attacks, because their attacks are the same. With Golden Axe 3, it really comes down to like who you're picking, and because I'm picking Chronos, this isn't going to be the most entertaining long play. Because truth be told, like you see me doing these combos and all that, but I really don't have to. If I really wanted to breeze through this game, I'd be using nothing but the unblockable attack. But I know that would be kind of boring, so I did want to mix it up here and there. But you will see me use that unblockable way more often in the more difficult stages, because without it, this game can be a pain in the ass. Not that it's impossible though. Like I finished this game as, I think the only character I didn't finish this game as was Proud Kragger, if I'm not remembering his name. But I did finish the game as Kane, or Kine, however you pronounce it. I finished it as Sarah, and I definitely finished it as Chronos many times back then. And I think as Sarah and Kine is a bit more interesting, and as Chronos, it's kind of screwed up because, you know, that unblockable right there. And that's really all there is to it. If you can just master performing that move, then you're good to go. And I was trying to knock that skeleton off, but I think I messed up the motion, so I didn't get to. I think he should be knocked off though. So skeletons are worth 2 points each, so knocking them off will actually give me 4 points because 2 times 2 equals 4. And well, you see, that's another thing too. Even though you need 500 points, and obviously the scoring system matters, you don't really need to worry about it if you're not dying. Like, if you get through the game without dying that much, or even without using a continue, then you're pretty much guaranteed to get the good ending. Because again, like each stage is like you're building up towards a score. Like each stage is sort of 0 points, and you're kind of just building up towards a new score to add to your total. And so like even if you do really, really bad at one stage, if you do really well in the next, then like you get so many more points there. And that's pretty much the only thing I can say about getting the good ending is that like really it just comes down to not dying a lot. I know that's not really advice, like, oh, just don't lose lives. Like, you know, that's not advice, but that's what it comes down to. However, of course, the scoring system can be very, like, learning how it works can be very important if, like, you are dying a lot, because maybe, you know, you're having a really bad run or something, but if you know how it works, if you're defeating the enemies with like the right attacks, trying to use the pits, or defeating the bosses with spells, then you can actually clutch the true final boss battle, even if you was losing like plenty of lives and continue. It's like, it is possible. It just really comes down to when and where like these mistakes happen, and like how you defeated each enemy. So yeah, if you want to take the scoring system seriously, I think it's only important if like, if one, you're going for a high score, or two, you're like, you know, like you're actually having a hard time getting the true ending, so you have to like at least make up for it by optimizing the way you defeat the enemies. Oh man, that was a mouthful. Anyways, you can actually see that I am saving hostages. I saved 4 so far, and coming up is the boss battle. Now for this boss battle, I always make sure that I have max magic available. And the reason is because level 3 magic defeats all of them in one go. And because each skeleton is worth 2, and you get 3 points for defeating an enemy with magic, that's 4 skeletons, 2 points each, so 8 times 3 is 8, 16, 24 points I got from that. Was it 24 points? 6, 12, 18? Yeah, 24 points I got from defeating all of them with magic. And again, as the further you get in the game, the multiplier increases, so like the amount of points you get, so I'm getting more and more points as the game goes along. So even though it looks like I don't have a lot of points here, which is, yeah, 153, as you get further and further, you will get more and more points from like the multiplier, assuming you don't lose a lot of lives, of course. Alright, and now for stage 3. So again, same deal, you see me use the attack into the forward B plus C to do a lot of damage. And yeah, man, maybe I should have picked a different character for trying to play through this with 1 life, because I don't know. I mean, does this look very exciting to you? Just me doing this over and over? But again, like, I did try to mix it up. You saw, like, with the enemies from before, I did, like, use a regular combo instead. And I even used, like, the B plus C, which is from both sides. But yeah, like, the AI in this game, if you don't know what to do, they are way, way more ruthless than the other Golden Axe games. It is ridiculous. Like, the ones that block, the ones that read your input. Like, this isn't a fighting game, man. Why are they reading the inputs? Like, are you, man? Like, I don't mind the parts of, like, Golden Axe 2 where, like, the second you start running at a Headless Knight, they'll, they'll, like, move out the way. Like, that's fine. But, like, every enemy in Golden Axe 3 is like this. Like, there's just no mercy. With the exception of, like, the first 2 or 3 stages, but after that, they really start to input read you. And, like, unless your character has a way to deal with it, it is very, very maddening. Anyways, you can see right there, I saved 2 more hostages, and I actually got a 1-up because I saved 5 in total. And plus I saved that, you know, the 6th one is already counted towards, like, the amount of hostages I saved. And, man, the problem I have with the hostage mechanic is that because there are different paths to take, the number of total hostages you can save is, like, again, completely dependent on which path you take. And if I'm not mistaken, path A doesn't have enough to get 1 more extra life. I could be wrong. I haven't, again, it has been some time since I watched this long play, but yeah, depending on which path you take, you might save more or less hostages than the playthrough you see here. Anyways, you can see me trying to make use of the mount for once. There's one thing I will say that I like when it comes to, like, the mounts, aka Bizarrians. If you press B plus C, like attack plus jump, while you're on one, you can actually jump off of it. And I don't know why I didn't thought of that before, but yeah, like, in the other Golden Axe games, they're pretty much stuck on the mount until you either get hit or, yeah, pretty much until you get hit or you end the stage. But in Golden Axe 3, you can finally just jump off of them by pressing attack plus jump. So that thief dropped a heart, and you don't see them too often in this game, but collecting a heart would not only give you full health, but it will also increase your maximum HP by a certain amount. And I think you need 3 hearts in total to get, like, the highest HP possible. I don't know if it's possible to, oh, that's another thing I don't know about. If you do a 2-player game, I don't think they drop as many hearts, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember I played this with one of my friends, And none of us got max HP because we was like splitting it throughout the playthrough. So I don't know if there's enough hearts to like get to max HP in the 2-player playthrough. Anyways, here is a boss battle coming up. Now you're about to see something very funny. I wanted to save this for last, but if you want to see something really hilarious, check this out. So you can see that the bosses are barely on the screen, right? Now listen to when they get knocked down. Here it comes. Wait for it. Then I use another spell. You might be wondering, okay, Zach, what are you doing here? What's going on? Just hold that thought. Hold on. Let's listen to when they get knocked down again, just in case. Okay, another spell. And check this out. Alright, so I defeated the 2 enemies on the left, and let's take a look at the right. That's weird. There was supposed to be a boss battle. What happened, you asked? Well, simply put, I don't think this works. I mean, I've tried it. I don't think this works in the other Golden Axe games, but there is a very hilarious glitch where if you hit the bosses out of bounds, like just out of this, like not to a pit, but just out of bounds with magic, because again, magic is an AoE. Even if the enemy isn't on screen, if they exist, then they will get hit. If you can hit them out of bounds, they'll instantly be defeated and they'll count as them falling into a pit, so you actually get like a ×2 on that enemy type in particular. It's a very, very useful glitch. I wanted to show it off. I actually show it off multiple times in this run. But yeah, like if there's a certain boss, there are certain bosses in this game that can be very oh, the boss in this stage, oh my goodness, it's a mess. Well, I mean, I am using Chrono, so I could just spam the unblockable non-stop, but if you want to defeat them very quickly, you can instead wait until they're slightly on screen, like as far to the edge as possible, or you can even hit them to the edge. And by casting a spell every time they're knocked down, it usually takes 2 spells, but sometimes you can do 3 just in case. It would just instantly defeat them, and you still get awarded points for doing so, as if they fell into a pit. So yeah, it is a very hilarious glitch. Obviously, this is like very, very important for speedrunning, but it's also important because some of these bosses are freaking disgustingly broken. Well, they're not unstoppable, it's just they have very obnoxious moves, especially the boss at this stage, which you probably won't see because there's chances are I probably use a glitch in here too. Anyways, there's a red dragon. Again, not a big fan of it. And as natural of Golden Axe games, the enemies do love to try to get on it. I actually think I got hit there. Maybe it was this stage where I was very low on health. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, like, you see, like, what's the point of using a mount in this freaking game? Like, you see me, like, oh, I got the dragon, time to use this attacks. And the woman with the mace immediately jumped over me, like, the input reading. Oh my god, like, can I just get away from fighting games for at least, like, one guide? Like, jeez, man. It is rough. But thankfully, they have a very, very difficult time stopping the unblockable attack. Which is why Chronos is top tier. So, yeah, that glitch, it is very amazing. You can even use it on the regular enemies, but of course they're more important to use on like the more dangerous enemies, aka the bosses. But to answer the question now, I should like, before you ask, oh, can you use this on the final boss? No, actually, because not that this, I mean, this is like, we're not there yet, but I might as well mention this anyways. A lot of specific enemies, especially the final boss, you actually can't knock them off the screen. They'll always be on screen no matter what. Kind of similar to oh, wow, he actually hit me with a flame attack. Yeah, this is the closest part of the run. I was actually 1 hit away from being defeated. But yeah, as I was saying, similar to Deathbringer in Golden Axe 1, you can't actually hit them off screen even if you use magic, so when it comes to the final boss of this game, you do have to like fight him legit. Like, there's not really any shortcuts. Well, the obvious one being, okay, use Chrono Spam Unblockable, which it should be a surprise to you that it will work on the final boss. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Anyways, more enemies. Of course, I'm going to be spamming the unblockable non-stop because why would I do anything else? I guess you could say, well, why not do other moves for fun? Like, I'm just trying to get a no-miss run. I am not trying to, like, Obviously, like, if I wanted to focus on, like, showing this game off in a good way, I'd pick someone else, like Kane or Sarah, but again, this is a guide, you know? I want to show the easiest way to get through it, and I do believe this is the easiest way to get through it. And, you know, I still want to show some cool stuff like the combos and all that, but at this point, I'm sounding like a broken record. I apologize. But it's really because there's not really much else to say about the strategy. Like, yeah, I'm still using the Y-axis and all that, but you don't really have to do that as much with Chrono since, you know, you have a gap closer that goes almost a full screen away and the opponent can't block it. So, like, you don't even really have to, like, reposition outside of, like, dodging attacks. And because the gap closer sends, like, the unblockable attack sends you so far away, like, the other enemies can't even keep up. Now, coming up should be the boss battle, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, that's another thing I should mention. So, the glitch, like, you know, making the bosses disappear and still getting points for it. The important part is that you keep an eye, because this isn't Golden Axe 2 where you can control how much magic you have. The important part is that you keep an eye on how many pots you have when performing the glitch. To perform it, you need either, at minimum, you need 2 pots specifically. Because if you have 3 pots, you cast a level 2 magic and you lose all of your pots right there, so you want to get the chance. With the exception of maybe 1 or 2 battles where you can get away with just 1 spell, but if it's based off a 2 spell cast, then you can either have 2 pots, which will allow you to perform a spell twice, a level 2 and a level 1. 4 pots, wait, no, 2 pots lets you do 2 level 1s. 4 pots lets you do... Alright, anyways, here's the glitch. Those enemies are obnoxious. Gosh, I hate them. Like, they have a spinning clothesline that can anti-air. They'll instantly try to... Their grab animation at the start of it instantly deals 10 damage. Like, before they even start pummeling you, they're just really hard to deal with. So you better believe I'm using the glitch here. But if I couldn't use it, then I can still abuse Kronos' unblockable attack to, like, defeat them easily. Anyways, as the other characters, it is a bit messy. There are ways to defeat them, like, normally, though. I believe Sarah is really good because of her invincible kick, which can blow through their attacks. But outside of that, it can be rough. Now, as I was explaining, the glitch. So, 2 pots lets you do 2 level 1s. 4 pots lets you do a level 1 and a level 2. And having 5 pots lets you do a level 2 and 2 level 1s. So if you really want to make sure you perform the glitch without any errors, then having 5 pots is very, very optimal. And again, another important thing is that you make sure you hear out for the enemies landing, because the whole point of the glitch is to knock them out of bounds, and like if you keep using magic back to back, then they obviously aren't going as far. So you use a magic spell, they fly back, and then you hear for them to get knocked down, and then you just use another, so on and so on. Anyways, now that I explained that, yeah, if that explained, there's not much else I can say. Again, I'm getting a sense of deja vu here. Okay, I will say this. I guess I might as well talk about Golden Axe 3 in particular, right? I freaking love the music in this game, dude. And, you see, I guess I might as well talk about I use this time to, I guess you can think of this as me rambling about my history with Golden Axe, right? I might as well, like, because there's not much else for me to talk about at this point. I feel like I explained some of the most important aspects, especially for this run in particular, so I'm just going to ramble on about, like, just my memories of Golden Axe in particular, especially 1 through 3 at least. So, there's no need for me to mention that it did start with Golden Axe 2, and this was an interesting experience for me. So, I was alone in a room, I was just chilling. I don't remember what I was doing. Maybe I was doing, like, homework or something. And my brother comes home with, I don't know if it was only Golden Axe 2 or if it was 2 games in particular, but just in case I am wrong, he came home with Hook for the Sega. Oh, I need to do a guide on that game. Oh man, I love that game. He came home with Hook on the Sega Genesis and Golden Axe 2. Now, I don't remember playing Hook because I think it was at a time where, like, I think his Sega Genesis controller was kind of, oh yeah, and I did a glitch here. Like, the Sega Genesis controller was kind of wonky, like it would keep pressing star or A or something like that, I don't know. So maybe I am wrong and it was just Golden Axe 2. But anyways, he comes home with Golden Axe 2. And, I turned on the game because, you know, he had some other things to do. So I'm like, oh yeah, new game, I can't wait to play it. And I just remember, like, I turned on the game and I'm having fun or whatever. I don't know what I'm doing, and I think I got up to the final stage with like 0 lives and 0 continues left, and I just like, it was one of the few gaming moments I had, like video game moments, like, wow, that was embarrassing. So yeah, don't do that move off the pit. Anyways, Golden Axe 2 was one of the first moments I had in a video game where, like, again, mind you, this was at a time where I was not good at video games. I was pretty bad at them, actually. Like, again, I was young, I didn't know what I was doing. But it was the very first moment I had where I get up to the final stage, I hear the final boss, like, I hear like the final stage music. I have 0 lives and no continues left, and I just paused the game and turned it off. I'm not joking. Like, it was like, I don't know if it was a sense of like hopelessness or just knowing that I stand no freaking chance at finishing the game. But it was just like the first realization that I was like, yo, I can't finish this. Because like I was just doing so poorly before then. It's like, if I'm struggling here, then can I really like finish this game? And yeah, it was just like one of the first ones I had, but I just turned it off. Like, I gave up. Because I'm like, okay, the game's getting harder and harder. There's no way I can't do this. Like, I just acknowledged that I was just too bad at the game. And it was just a very interesting experience. Now, later on, we did get more Sega Genesis games and all that. I remember at one point we did, I don't know, it was a weird, like, we ranged from having a bunch of Super Nintendo games to not having a bunch of Super Nintendo games to having a bunch of Sega Genesis games and then not having a bunch of Sega Genesis games. It was a wild ride for sure. So I just remember we still had Golden Axe 2. We had I think we had Splatterhouse 3, and we had what else we had at the time? A lot of games, really, like Sonic 1, Animaniacs, what else? I had Toy Story. Oh, that's a hard one. What else? Oh, so many games. Oh yeah, and Mortal Kombat 2, which I never. Damn, like you see, that's what sucks too, because we had Mortal Kombat 2, but I didn't care about it. Like, I just didn't even, like, I didn't even play it. Like, I didn't even. But it's weird because, like, I like Mortal Kombat. Like, you know, I like 1, 2, and 3. But, like, as a kid, I just didn't really care about it for some reason. I feel like if I had it now, you know, if I had the mindset that I had now, I'd be playing that non-stop or something. But it was just one of those games that I turned on for, like, one fight and then just turned off. I don't know. It's so weird, man. That's one thing I don't like, is that, like, back then I never really appreciated the Sega Genesis games I had. Like, even Toy Story, I didn't even try to finish it legit. I just kept using cheats to get through it. Nowadays, I can actually finish that game without using cheats, but yeah, like, I really didn't appreciate the games I had at the time. Which is weird, because I did appreciate, like, Golden Axe 2. I played it a lot, even though I sucked at it. And if you're wondering if I ever did finish Golden Axe 2 back then, no, I didn't. I think at most, maybe I got up to Dark Guild, but I never finished Golden Axe 2 at the time. Like, I was just really not that good at video games, man. Which was pretty much the majority of my life at one point. Like, even in my 20s, it still felt like I was, like, just garbage at video games or something. Like, I do certain games I was really good at, but then there was just, like, but outside of that, I just, oh, man. Well, there's no use of me thinking about the past now, because I like to think I'm much, much better nowadays. But, yeah, it was just a time where I just wasn't that good at it. But, speaking of Golden Axe, so yeah, part 2, had it back then, wasn't good at it, and I never finished it at the time I owned it. And what happened, now Golden Axe 1 and 3, I never ever. And, oh man, by the way, King Eve is so cool. He's one of my favorite characters in the series. I really like his design. But, yeah, like, I never owned Golden Axe 1 or 3 as a cartridge. That would be much later. I'll explain that in a bit, but, like, because what ended up happening is that I just played the Sega Genesis collection. But yeah, like there was Golden Axe 2, and after that, it wasn't me. Before my brother came home with the Sega Genesis collection for PS2, which I freaking love, by the way. I'll talk about that in a bit. I actually had the Sega Smash Pack for Game Boy Advance, and I lost count on how many times I finished Golden Axe 1 on that collection. Now, the weird thing is that I didn't know how botched of a port it was. Like, I didn't really understand it. Like, I just loved the game, but like, I didn't understand how bad the port was. And what do I mean by that? Well, I could be wrong, but the biggest problem with the Sega Smash Pack is, it had Sonic Spinball, Echo the Dolphin, and Golden Axe 1. And Golden Axe 1 was really cool because it did have like up to 4-player link play if you actually didn't know 3 other people that had the Smash Pack. I didn't, of course, but like, you know, it was still like, I still enjoyed the game just playing it by myself. But at the time I didn't realize that the biggest problem with Golden Axe 1 on the Sega Smash Pack was that when it comes to the gameplay, it only had 2 music tracks. It was the theme of the first stage and like the battlefield theme or whatever of the boss theme, I should say. And I think the reason had something to do with the fact that they whoever was in charge of doing the music, instead of like using the GBA instruments or whatever, like doing it from the ground up, they actually just recorded the music from the Genesis version, like raw, and like it's like, you know, obviously it's like hugely compressed, but it's just all of the music in that collection was like that. Sonic Spinball, Echo the Dolphin. So like the music is just, I assume it took up so much space that like they were each game only had like 2 to 4 songs each, which is kind of disgraceful considering like, if there's one thing I will say about all 3 of those games, Spinball, Echo the Dolphin, and Golden Axe 1, is that they have some good music. But again, like, instead of them doing it from the ground up, they just, I guess, recorded it and compressed it, so it just took up a bunch of space. At least compared to, like, just using instruments or whatever. Or whatever the GBA sound font is capable of. And yeah, despite that, I played that game a ton on that Smash Pack. I think I actually remember keeping count of how many times I finished Golden Axe 1. Like, I'm like, yo, I finished this. I remember telling like my brother, like, yo, I finished this game 10 times, and I don't know why I was so hyped about that. When Golden Axe 1 on the GBA, I think it was easier to beat. I could be wrong though, but it was definitely easy for me. Probably because I burned it out and I had nothing better to do. But yeah, I burned that out, and I loved Golden Axe 1 a lot because of that. And yeah, after that, I think oh, by the way, I should mention that at this stage, I think I did a glitch again. I could be wrong. Oh man, this... Okay, you see, now I'm getting distracted by this music because it's so freaking good. I should have mentioned that at the start of the stage. It's just, man, it's one of my favorite tracks of the game. I freaking love this theme. Anyways, I should get back on topic. So, what happened? So after Golden Axe 1 on the Game Boy Advance via the Sega Smash Pack, what was I playing? Oh yeah, so the Sega Genesis collection for PS2. That's the one that had introduced me to like Shinobi 3, Sword of Vermilion. They had the Phantasy Star games, and more importantly, it had Golden Axe 1, 2, and 3. Now, I don't remember playing 1 and 2 a lot, but I remember being very fascinated by 3 because it was my first time ever seeing it. I'm like, yo, there's a 3rd Golden Axe game? And like, you know, at the time I played it, it freaking kicked my ass, but like, I still thought the game was really cool. And the weird thing is, when I played Golden Axe 3, I did not care about the graphics. I actually thought it looked better than 1 and 2, dare I say it. Because I'm like, yo, this is like the 3rd game. This game looks awesome, like with like the scrolling backgrounds and stuff. And yeah, for like the longest time, I thought Golden Axe 3 was considered like an upgrade. Like, I didn't think people... I had no idea that people like on the internet, like elsewhere, you know, they said, yo, this game actually looks worse, and kind of does in some areas, but yeah, at the time I thought it was like the best looking Golden Axe game, at least of the trilogy. And I think that's kind of the beauty of my experience with Golden Axe games, that like, this is at a time where I did not have internet. Like, I was very antisocial, so I didn't really have that many friends. and like just nothing just clouded my judgment. Whatever I believed, I believed. Like, if this game looked sick, then yeah, this game was sick. And there was even a time I thought that I can't believe I'm saying this. There was actually a time I thought Shaq Fu was pretty freaking legit, but that I'm not even gonna talk about that. So, anyways, King Eve, he finally turns back to a human after being released from the curse, and this is the part where you go into the final stage. Now, the weird part is, on the map screen, this is still considered stage 7, but when you do the cheat code for stage select, or, you know, even if you look at, like, I don't know if this game has shows that in the manual, but this is actually considered stage 8. This is the final level of the game. And I should mention that if you do the level select, if you do the level selector code, you can only go up to this stage. You can't actually use the level select code to get whatchamacallit. You can't use it to get to the true final boss. But I think if you do get through the stage without losing a life, it is possible. Again, you can quote me if I'm wrong, but it is possible to get just enough points to qualify for the true final boss, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this stage introduces a bunch like there's just so many enemies that can block in this stage. There'll be a bunch of armored knights and stuff. So if you do not have the unblockable, then you're gonna just have to climb up your life. Against the armored knights though, you can't abuse grabbing because they can't grab you back. But you better throw them, like, if you are going to depend on grabs to defeat them, you better throw them quickly because the others will gang up on you while you're in that animation. Anyways, as I was saying, so I had the collection on PS2 and the Sega Genesis collection. I loved it a lot. I played it a ton. And yeah, I just always assumed this was the best Golden Axe, like, you know, because it's like, oh, it's Golden Axe 3, it has to be the best, right? And now that I've played these extensively, you know, like I'm grown up now and all that stuff, I think, you see, that's the thing though, like with Golden Axe 2, that really might just be nostalgia, but yeah, I still prefer Golden Axe 2 as my personal favorite. I know for many it would be like Golden Axe 1. But I still think Golden Axe 3 is pretty cool, like, you know, I still like this game. And yeah, that was pretty much it with my experience of Golden Axe. And speaking of which, I remember I actually found out about the bad ending by, like, I don't want to say it was by accident, but the thing is, the Genesis collection on PS2 actually had an option to use save states. And I remember using it to get to the end of Golden Axe 3. And I think I save stated it in a way that I actually got enough points without even knowing to get to the true final boss. And I'm like, oh cool, the ending, awesome. But then one time later on in my life, oh, I get to talk about this collection, I don't know. Do I even have enough time to talk about that? Maybe, I'll talk about it briefly, but I'll never forget Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection on PS3. That game, oh man, I freaking love that collection. It's still my favorite collection to date, even because, like, obviously the newest collection, I think it's on Switch. I think it got delisted on Steam, if I'm not mistaken. But the newest collection is, like, for me, an interface is just as important as a collection itself, and that interface is so boring. Like, it's just a bedroom with no music. But the interface to Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection is so good. Like, just the style, the black and blue, the freaking music. Oh man, it's just so chill. And like the bonuses it had, like it had the Master System games and all that, like Phantasy Star 1. Like, it was just one of my favorite. It's still one of my favorite PS3 games ever, man, because it really, really made me appreciate the Sega Genesis at the time. I'm pretty sure here I do use the glitch again to, like, get rid of them quickly. But yeah, I enjoyed that collection a lot, and that was the collection where I actually decided to try to play through Golden Axe 3 legit. And I did actually finish it. Like, I actually got through it, but I had to use a lot of continues, and that was when I found out that, oh, this game does have a bad ending. Like, I was so confused because I'm like, wait a minute, like, this isn't the ending I remember. Because, again, reminder, I did not have a phone. Yeah, even in the PS3 days, I didn't have a phone. I didn't really have internet, so like, it was, I want to say it was rough times, but maybe it was good that I didn't have internet because I don't know. I really don't know. It made me grow up in a weird way, I guess. But yeah. Other than that, like, that was the first time I found out that Golden Axe 3 actually had a bad ending, and you know, sometime after the Ultimate Justice Collection, you know, I matured a bit, became more social with people, and little did I know that I'd eventually start doing guides on game facts, man. I don't know. I'm kind of scared of this ever becoming some kind of job or like some full-time YouTube thing. I'd rather this just be like just a hobby I enjoy, you know? I do this stuff because it's fun. And you know, the games I pick, outside of like the polls I do, where like, oh, what's the next game I should do or whatever. Outside of that, like the games I do it because I want to do them. Like, it has nothing to do with like whether people want it or not, or maybe a certain community is hyped to see this or whatnot. I don't know. I don't know what's going on nowadays with like other communities and all that. Maybe it's like the retro people, or like, I don't know. It might. I probably sound crazy. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm thinking of like the FGC or something. But like, because there was a time where like I did a bunch of fighting game guides back to back, but I'm trying to like back away from that a bit because fighting games aren't very fun alone. I'd much rather like figure out games like this. It's way more interesting. Well, okay, this run isn't the most interesting, but at least for the case of Golden Axe 2 when 1, it felt so much more satisfying to beat those games compared to like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play a fighting game and spam one move over and over, which was the case for so many fighting games. Anyways, the point is, the guys I do, I just, you know, something I do for fun. I don't want to feel like I don't want to get full of myself, feel like I'm like the integral part, like, you know, guides or whatever. I don't like that kind of mentality. I just do this stuff as a hobby, you know? If people enjoy it, that's awesome. If people want to give me feedback or say, hey, like, what about this? I'll be like, you know, that's, alright, I get that, sure. Like, this is something I enjoy doing, and I hope I can keep doing it. Anyways, I have rambled for a very long time. We are finally at the final boss. And if you're used to performing the unblockable as Kronos, this should be very easy. Now, I think I hit him how many times? 3 times? Because the thing is, the final boss has, what, 100 HP or 127? I think it's 127 HP. And I'm pretty sure Kronos' special attack deals 10 per hit, so right now he should, I think that's like 90 damage I've dealt so far. Okay, never mind. Because the thing is, if you keep track of the damage, like if you're really trying to go for that score, you can actually like keep count of how much damage you're dealing and then finish off the boss with a magic spell to get a ton of points. Because defeating that boss in particular, he's worth 10 points, and if you do it with a spell, it's 30 points. But I did have more than enough points for the good ending, so I wasn't worried about that. And now we face the true final boss of Golden Axe 3. Here he is. You should realize the power hidden with the axe. I think that's like the second time I even mentioned like I talked over the freaking story. Like the only other time was the freaking intro. I apologize. Anyways, Kronos is broken. You can just do this. I think that was 7 hits. Maybe this is 8. And after 2 more, I just cast a level 3, and it's a wrap. Should be after this one. Or again. Or maybe I'm going to defeat him with it? Okay, there we go. Because I know that he has exactly 127 health and magic damage. I think level 3 spells deal 32, if I'm not mistaken. So this will definitely defeat him. Not that it really matters, because the way you defeat the true final boss, I think he will always give you 300 points upon getting this ending. Anyways, here is the ending to Golden Axe 3. Finally, the courageous warriors defeat the evil lord. The castle strengthened by the evil magic turns to dust. And they retrieve the golden axe. Peace returns to the entire world. Time passes and their battles become legends that pass down forever. And yeah, that is Golden Axe 3. I pretty much said, from all that talking I was doing throughout the long play, I pretty much said everything I had about this game. Like, I personally like it, but I can see why others don't. You know, the graphics aren't up to par with the games that came out at the time. That didn't really bother me when I first played it, and it still doesn't bother me today to some extent. I don't know. Because at the end of the day, gameplay is just very important to me, you know? And obviously I was using someone like Chronos, so it probably looks like the most boring thing ever, but I'm telling you, if you play it as one of the other characters, at least when I personally play it as like Sarah or Kane, it's a bit more fun. It is definitely more fun if you got a friend to play with, of course, as is natural with beat 'em ups. So if you got a friend that's willing to play a beat 'em up with you, the Golden Axe games are definitely the way to go. And yeah, thanks a bunch for, like, I don't know if you skipped to this timestamp or whatever, but whatever the case may be, thanks a bunch for watching this far. And yeah, with that, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Golden Axe trilogy. I don't know when I'm going to do a guide on one of the other Golden Axe games, but for now, I'm very, very glad that I got to do it on the trilogy on the Sega Genesis, and yeah, there's just not much else for me to say. I do not know what my next guy... Actually, no, I know what my next guy is going to be, because I do have to play that next, but... whatever the case may be, thanks so much for watching, and with that said, I'll see you later.